What's up, folks, and welcome to Indie Ramble. So, I got another roguelite for you today, and this one's actually been out for a while. It was in early access for a good while at first, and then it's actually been in full release for a while as well. But I've wanted to cover it for some time. It was one of those things that kept getting, unfortunately, backburnered, and it just had a huge new update with a ton of changes, so I figured now is the time. So, this is Orbital Bullet, and it is another roguelite title, of which there have been many lately. You can see a lot of, again, inspiration from things like Dead Cells in this game, but it is got a couple of little interesting things about it, not the least of which is the way in which you traverse it. So I'm going to show you that here. So this is the main upgrade tree, which you'll come into at the start of every run. Now, I already spent all my upgrade points from the last run here. You're going to see I haven't unlocked a lot of this yet. So yeah, I did play a bunch of this in early access, but when it went full release, all the progress got wiped. So I kind of had to start over. So I have played more of this than it may appear, but I can still show off a fair amount of it to you here. And you're already seeing sort of the main mechanic of this thing. Yeah, everything you do is in orbits, basically. All of the levels are circular. So what you have to do is you're trying to stop an alien invasion, basically. So you've got to go and take out a whole bunch of different bosses that are living on different planets in order to sort of unlock your way to the end. The story is pretty straightforward, but, you know, for games like this, it's all about the mechanics more than anything, right? So, you're going to get placed on all of these different circular plane levels, and you have the ability to sort of travel around the main zone that you're in if you want to collect everything, but you don't always have to do every level either. So, you're going to have to take out all the enemies in a given area. You usually don't get sent to a store this early, which is kind of amusing, but so here we go. We'll go back this way. So, you're going to deal with a series of different enemies in each of the different planets, all of which are different biomes as well. So you have to. There's a fair amount of things getting mixed up here. The enemies all have very different kinds of attacks and defenses, and the challenge definitely does ramp up in this thing. There's no doubt about that. It definitely will get quite challenging. You know, I've only gotten a couple of worlds in, and I still haven't managed to get very far. Though I almost beat the last boss I fought. He won by just a hair, which really, you always hate it when that happens, but it always makes you want to get back up on the horse. So, there are various pickups throughout the levels. You'll pick up different weapons. There is multiple different kinds of currencies that you'll pick up, one of which is to spend within your run, and the other of which is sort of the permanent thing that allows you to upgrade your abilities in a more permanent fashion, hex the road likeness. So there's also a skill tree in this for each run. You get skill points by leveling up that you can spend on abilities within each skill tree, but when you find one of these terminals, you can pick one of two different skill trees to get to basically to add upgrades that you can buy into over the course of your run. So you'll want to take a look at those and sort of pick the one that you think is going to best suit the type of run that you're attempting to do. So it's, you know, it's all. This is a kind of formula that you have seen in a lot of roguelites before, obviously. They're not necessarily breaking the mold on that, but the way in which the types of enemies that you have to fight, the way in which you have to fight them, and the way in which you traverse the levels is really what this is all about. So they also have these timed chests here. I usually don't manage to get these, but if you can, you usually get something good out of them. So that encourages you to sort of speed run the levels, but that's only one way of playing it, right? If you try to play it without speed running, you won't necessarily get those chests, but there are other benefits you could get from taking your time as well, right? And then you'll see here. So this is actually more than you usually see in the first area. So in here we have one of these enemies here which shields all the other ones. You've got to take this guy out before you can take out the other ones. You usually don't see this until later levels, which is kind of interesting. And then you have this sort of shockwave thing that's coming out towards the first sort of outer lane of this level that we're in. So you have to be mindful of that and basically make sure you don't jump in its pathway. So, and you can see some enemies are flying, some sort of charge at you, some of them have shields on them, some sort of stand still but shoot artillery. There's a lot of variety here. And you're also seeing that there are multiple ways to take enemies out. So you can carry up to 2 guns at once. The guns vary significantly in this game, from sort of standard firearms to slower but more powerful energy weapons to explosives to shotguns to all kinds of things. You can sometimes find blueprints in your runs that allow you to unlock better weapons, and you can get there's different levels for these guns that you can acquire as you go as well. Sometimes you'll see these little dimensional rift levels, which are just a challenge level. It's basically, some of them are timed, some of them are about not taking any damage if you can avoid it. And the better you do, the better the loot you'll get at the end. There's sort of a 3-star system. You can never get less than 1 star, but that's sort of the weakest thing, and you want to try to aim for 3 stars. Depending on the type, getting 3 stars can sometimes be fairly tricky, or in the case of this one, not necessarily so bad. So I'm doing actually all right this time. I think I'm going to hit the 3 stars on this one. So there we go, and boosh. So I got some extra stuff. I got a better rifle here. I might take this because this has long range. And then that's a big pile of XP, which is for the per run thing. So there you go. So you have a lot of different things to do here, and as you can see, you can not only shoot enemies in this, you can actually jump off of the Mario style. There's actually an achievement for doing that to 1,000 enemies. It doesn't keep track of the progress, so I have no idea how far along I am in doing that, but it's handy too, because obviously I have run into situations where ammo management has become a thing. Doesn't happen all the time, but you will want to be careful of that in some cases, and when you do that, or when you're doing that, you know, costs you nothing obviously to bounce off an enemy, right? So here's another upgrade station. I got a couple of points here, so interesting. So got a couple of different things here. You can also unlock, through the permanent abilities, you can unlock health kits as well that you can use to heal yourself a certain number of times in each run. There's also a map here that shows all the different rings and shows what's on each one of them. You can see there. Again, you don't necessarily have to do every ring in every area. If you want to do that and risk taking more damage with the potential of getting more loot and goodies, you certainly can, but you don't always have to. Not every area requires that you complete every ring in order to move on. So I'm picking up temporary perks there as well. Again, those are for this run only. So here we go. We got a get 1 neuropod to upgrade your class. Ooh, I'll take that. And then the key cards can be used to unlock those sort of dimensional rift things if you want. So, and then usually from the store, you have sort of a way out to go to another level, but it looks like you don't from here. So you can teleport back and forth to any area that or to any ring that you've already completed. So, you know, if you ever do want to scour a whole area and have to do any backtracking, there's really no effort to that at all, which is a nice little quality of life thing. And yeah, once you get to a certain point through a zone, you're going to have to fight a boss. And the bosses can be... I'm going to skip that rift in the interest of time here, and the bosses can certainly, especially the later ones, they can get pretty freaking challenging, for sure. It was a little bit of credits hidden under there. There we go. The bosses can definitely get pretty challenging. So the early ones like this, not so bad, but later ones, yeah, they'll test you without a doubt. But this being a roguelike, of course, as you get more permanent upgrades and you further your abilities along, those later bosses will get easier because you're going to go into those battles with more power at your disposal, right? That's sort of the way. That's sort of the thing. A roguelike, you lose everything when you die. A roguelike, you always have certain manner of permanent progression that can make your next run easier, you know. But it is definitely a grind in this game. Now, in this latest update, which they're calling the Over 9000 update because they changed so much, you also get a one-time heal at the end of every boss. And then you pick your next planet. So I've actually beaten this one, so let's check out this one. And you'll see how quickly the difficulty and enemy complexity ramps up. So there we go. Yes, in this new update, they claim to have slowed the grind a little bit. But this update is truly astonishing. They have put in the changelog for this 1.1 update is absolutely massive. They've made a lot of little tweaks, but also some fairly significant changes as well. So this is definitely, even if they have removed the grind a little bit, it's still going to take you a number of hours to get to the end of this game. Unless you are incredibly lucky. You know, every game like this has that thing where sometimes you just get a really lucky seed, and the levels are set up in such a way that even if you're not very powerful, you'll absolutely steamroll through them. So that could happen here, but probably not. It's definitely not a... this is definitely not a game that you're going to finish super quick. So for the money, you can get a lot of value in terms of playtime out of this, without a doubt. But it is a game that is going to require a lot of grinding, as roguelikes do. You know, if you don't really want to play the same types of levels over again. The levels are randomly generated and your runs are seed-based, so, you know, they will change some each time. But if you're not interested in grinding the same biomes and the same enemies a lot in order to upgrade yourself to the point where you can more easily go through them, well, this won't sell you on that. Personally, I really enjoy roguelites, and, you know, but they're a million to one these days, but there are a lot of crappy ones, but ones that are well designed and well balanced are less common. And I do honestly think that this one is pretty well put together, and that they've done pretty well considering the competition that they have. And it's really nice to see that, based on the Steam review count, this game has done okay, but it hasn't been a massive smash hit. And it's nice to see them still putting clearly large amounts of effort into supporting the community that they do have in the long term, which not every developer, you know, either chooses to do or has the capability to do. So I do appreciate that a lot. Also, there are dodge abilities in this that include iframes. You're not seeing me use them very much yet, because at this stage I just find they're not incredibly necessary, though it probably would have saved myself some if I'd done that. On some of the bosses, you gotta learn to roll, son. You know, very much Dark Souls style. Some of the bosses, if you don't roll, you are getting wrecked quick. There's no doubt about that. And even then, sometimes the iframes are not that significant, so you gotta watch yourself. For sure. But yeah, in many ways, you know, what I would say is this better than Dead Cells? Yeah, because you can see, if you play Dead Cells at all, you can see how much of its formula it is inspired by. Is this better than Dead Cells? I'm gonna say no, only because I think Dead Cells is one of the finest roguelites ever made, and I have played a phenomenal amount of that. But if you want a bit of a different take on that formula, you know, if you want something that maybe would interest you a little bit more, or indeed, if you are someone who has finished Dead Cells and is looking for a similar type of idea, but with a different kind of challenge to it, then I think this one could do you quite well at the same time. It's the sort of... The circular traversal thing, I actually think is kind of a cool idea, simply because... Where am I looking to go for here? It's odd. I usually don't lose my position very much and get lost, but I seem to have confused myself here. That's rather amusing. There is a downward arrow here, but it says I can't go through it yet. Oh, okay. It didn't look like it could before, but here we go. So, yeah, this is a different take on the, you know, the Dead Cells style formula, but it does it really well. And the level traversal is interesting. You know, Dead Cells had singular larger levels that you had to platform your way through. The level design is really this game's sort of unique selling point, in that you're playing in large overall areas, but with much smaller levels where you can actually see everything ahead of you. So when you start a level, you have an idea what to expect. You're going to see the kinds of enemies that you're going to be up against. You're going to see where they're located, and it gives you the ability to better plan your battle strategy, if you will. These Eternity Shields, I'm not actually 100% sure what they do, but they're a thing you'll run into. I'm sure you learn more of that as you go. Hey guys, Future Parallax here. So no kidding, I hit stop on the video and then right after found out that I'd unlocked this, and this was what those mysterious purple stones were about. It's an endless mode, or at least 100 states challenge tower. So yeah, this is called the Infinity Tower. And it's pretty simple. You do as many stages as you can in one run, including the bosses, and by hitting different stages, you get different things. And you can go into this with any of the multiple classes, which the game has as well. I didn't really touch on that. There are multiple classes in this that do have different weapon specialties as well that you can choose from. I tend to stick with the mercenary, but that is an option that you have as well. And yeah, you can come into this mode and do some challenges and win some other stuff, which is always kind of cool. So that's another nice little feature that they've added to this. So just wanted to put that out there. I kind of implied that the stones were a mystery. Well, they kind of were until they weren't. So there you go. So yeah, so it changes the flow and the scenarios of combat such that you actually have to kind of plan yourself, and really you get a chance to see what's coming ahead of time so that you have a chance to sort of work on it and figure out what you want to do beforehand, whereas Dead Cells, you really have to spend more time sort of not knowing what's on the horizon and preparing for what might be coming, whereas here you get a little bit, you don't get a lot of advance notice of what's coming, but you get some. So it does change the way you have to think about how you approach the different scenarios and the combat. And like I said, though they say they have removed a bit of the grind in this new update, it's still not a pushover by any means. This is a roguelite that was, I think, very crafted with a lot of thought and care, and made by people who clearly understand this genre quite well and what people like about it. And there's a lot of variety in here. There are a lot of guns, a lot of upgrades, a lot of blueprints, a lot of enemies, a lot of level variety. So we're going to this boss I haven't actually beaten yet. It will be awesome if I could actually take him out in one of these runs. So every boss is very different, has their own type of attacks, and patterns that you have to learn, and they will have multiple forms as you go, and you've got to really watch for that. As you can see here, you got to pay attention. Got to time them iframes, son. Oh yes. And that, you can see they don't have crazy unlimited health, but they definitely don't have again, they ain't no pushovers, Charge up again here. And you can see the battle just gets more and more complicated as you go. They will spawn in ads, they will spawn in additional hazards that you have to deal with, Okay, I ticked them off here. So yeah, there's a lot of variety to this and a lot of challenge. This is not a roguelike that's light on depth, certainly not, and not light on different ways to play it either. If you may find that certain types of weapons and play styles may be more suited to you, and you may have a lot of opportunity. Hover shotgun, ooh. And you're going to have a lot of opportunity to play the game in different ways. You certainly could beat it multiple times if you wanted to try out those different methods. The only thing I think some people are probably going to be maybe some people will be a little bit cool on is the art style. It is very voxel inspired. Reminds me of a lot of, hey, I got him, sweet. Reminds me of a lot of Housemarque's games. I like this style personally. I know it's not to everyone's taste. Some people are going to say that, and the UI maybe looks a little bit simplistic. I don't mind it. I think it looks good. Again, maybe it doesn't have the sort of amazing pixel rotoscoping style of a Dead Cells or something like that. But yeah, the meat plant. This is what I have not beaten yet. I have not gotten very far in this area, but yeah, I like this a lot. If I had to say, if you haven't played Dead Cells yet, I would say go play that first, because that is an absolute masterclass in this genre. But if you've played Dead Cells already, or you like sci-fi a little bit more than weird sort of medieval Giger-esque sort of grotesqueness, then this would be worth a look as well. And to anybody who likes roguelites of that type and who likes the kind of depth that Dead Cells has, but wants something potentially a little bit more gun heavy, and with some little Mario jumping mechanics in it like this is really, really good. I do wish I covered this before now. I'm always a bit leery to cover early access titles, but this has also been out of early access for a long time, and when you have the schedule that I do, and you have a lot of games you want to talk about, some unfortunately get forgotten a little bit, which I feel bad about, honestly. But this one has a lot going for it, and I was kind of like, yeah, you know what, I got to get to this thing and get this covered, and then they dropped the 1.1 over 9,000 update. So what a perfect time to sort of showcase it in its most final form. So that always worked out. It's always nice to have that happen. So yeah, but you're seeing the bulk of it here, and I think if you're a fan of roguelikes, this you will have seen already just from the footage alone whether this is something that's for you. But as a fan of that genre, even though I suck at it, I have been enjoying this a lot, and I do plan to spend a lot more time with it. Hoping maybe I can finish it. Roguelites are one of those genres I don't actually tend to finish very often, but even the ones I really enjoy. But hoping I can do that with this one. So yeah, that is Orbital Bullet. It is out now and has been out for a while, but the over 9,000 update is out now, which adds a huge amount to the table at no extra cost. There's a lot here, and it's a good package with some unique elements for it, and something that I think if you're a fan, you'll get a lot of good hours out of, which is always nice. So thank you very much for watching, everybody. I do appreciate it. If you liked what you saw here, please do all the normal YouTube things, like, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment down below for sure. Tell me, what do you think about this? How do you think this compares to Dead Cells? What are other roguelike titles that you enjoy? God knows there's plenty of them out there, so and I'm sure there's some that I've missed, so that's something I'd always love to hear more about as well. And as always, you can follow me over at twitch.tv/pxabstraction for multiple variety streams a week. I cover other indie titles over there as well as retro stuff, including a lot of things that are better suited to streaming than YouTube. We have a great community there, and I would love to see you be a part of it. And I just got wrecked. Holy lifting. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and I'll see you on the next Indie Ramble. You folks have yourselves a good one. Take her easy.